everybody will stand, we'll have a moment of silence, and we'll do our pledge of allegiance. All right, thank you for that. Flag is over here. Attention, salute, pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Appreciate everybody. Appreciate everybody participating now. And I'll turn it over now to the director for our recognitions.
All right, Coach Sampson, our golf coach, middle school golf, come on up.
All right, team, come on up. I want to thank the board for letting us be here tonight. It's been a great season. Middle school golf is a spring sport, so typically if we do anything good, we have to come to this board meeting to tell y'all all about it. So this is our co-op team. I'm really proud of these guys and girls. We're missing 2 boys today. We are represented by most of the schools. I'm hoping next year we'll get some from the other ones, but we're represented here with Jeff Middle kids and Maury kids and even Rush Strong. So we got 3 out of the 4 schools. But I'm gonna let them talk and let them say their names here in a minute. But I'm gonna lose 2 to 8th grade. They're gonna be at the high school next year, so I'm gonna wish them great, and I know they're gonna do great things. And then I'm losing one of my girls to the high school. So we've got some returnees, and then we've got some sad faces we're going to see go. I'm very proud of this team. We came in 2nd in district, which allowed the boys team to move on to regionals, where we ended in 6th place at regionals. And our girls team, they finished 4th at district, which both of those are outstanding considering we go against like 10 or 11 other schools. So very proud of how they fared this year, and looking forward to next year. But I'm gonna let them come up and say their name and what school they're from.
Sam Banatter from Moore Middle School.
Come on up.
Mike Richards from Moore Middle School. Loki Rogers from Jefferson Middle School. Carolyn Simpson from Jefferson Middle School. Sophia Pappas from Moore Middle School.
Get a picture right here with us. Squeeze in here. Thank you. I know some of you all probably don't want to stay for the whole meeting. If you don't, you're fine to leave whenever, or if you want to stay for a while, that's fine. Mr. Evanson, he asked about the track. He had heard some stuff about track. So we did have several high school members, and then also some high school and some middle school state champs. But that event happens right at the end of school, so the last week of school. But we'll catch up with some of them later, hopefully. So just wanted to share that also.
All right. Appreciate the golf team showing up. And I know the past couple of years they've done fairly well. Public input. We do not have any more. All right, you want to say anything? You want to say anything? Get a little something in? All right, that then brings us down to the board approve agreement or renewals and MOU for the mental health services was up last time during the business session, and there was a move to table it to the next business session in light of wanting to maybe add some things. Let Tommy speak to that.
Yeah, I got some information today, from Mr. Bennett got back. He just talked about, considering having, counselors just sign that they understand the memorandum of understanding between the board. He said, that's something you can do. And then also talking about, one thing about it was contact information. He said ever how you do it, that should be something that is on file. And we get in touch with them whenever there's an issue. I have spoke to every principal, and they do have that information already with them. And then, he just mentioned about having that information of the counselor on file, kind of what their schedules are, which we do have schedules. They're at some schools at 1 day a week, some schools 4 days a week, depending on the caseload and size. And then also talked about kind of who is on their caseload if that ever comes up. And then also there was a request just about how much each school is served by mental health counselors, like how many students they serve at each school and how many hours per school. There is a little bit of an issue with, we can definitely get the number of students served per school, but the hours per school is a little tricky because various counselors serve various schools, and keeping up with that. We can get the total number of hours served, maybe not broken down for schools, but we can get the number of students served per school. Helen Ross McNabb may be able to get the number of hours per school and the number of students, because they only have a couple of counselors serve 2 schools, 3 schools. And we're working on the information, can have that at the board meeting, share that information. We usually get that at year end anyway, just to look at the number of students served, the hours, those type of things. But that's something, this came from Mr. Bennett today at 3, and I'll get Rhonda to get that out to you at a later, we'll send that to you in the morning, just so you can have that information. But it just, like I said, mentions about signing, just as they come into the school, just acknowledging they've looked over and understand their duties. And then also having their information on file and schedule and that sort of thing for students. So,
Any questions about anything?
So, it's not gonna change our MOU from what I understand, right? It's gonna be the MOU, that stuff's gonna be separate anyway, it's just gonna be understood that they're gonna do that stuff,
right.
so.
Who says it's best practice to have that information, and, if he asks us to do something, we normally do it unless he says it's optional, so. Here, he says it's best practice too, so we'll do it.
But the MOU will stay as they are then,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes. No need to put it in the MOU. As kind of a procedure that we'll follow.
Any questions? All right, so that will be up, both of those MOUs will be on the business meeting Next is committee reports, joint school board / county commission committee. We met, what was it, last Thursday, I believe, wasn't it, Doug? Doug, myself, Jimmy Carmichael was there, Austin Brooks, yeah, he sat in, and we had a few, close to newly elected, newly nominated for their parties, county commissioners and school board members. That was there, but Michelle was there. She was the only newly nominated school board member, but, went over a whole lot of different things. Bill Blankenship was there to talk about Jefferson Elementary and what's going on there. And kept everybody apprised there and talked about Talbot and what they're finishing up with that. Doug brought up garage. You want to say anything about the county garage?
Yeah, we're partnering with the county commission for that new, county garage up there. Soon as I got the grading done, didn't have a whole lot of information to tell us. Just like, it took us a while to get our steel building, it's taken a while for them to get theirs, but they're moving along slowly, but they're moving. And, the site is graded, they're doing surveying up there, and if you go by there, you can kind of see where it's gonna be now. Before, you kind of wondered, and now the site is leveled, and they're definitely moving along.
They give an idea of when it's gonna actually start or finish at all?
Yeah, I guess kind of like we found out that, our bleachers from Maury are 8 months. I guess anything that it has to do with aluminum or steel is way out. And they decide they know what it's gonna cost, they know who's gonna do it, it's just a question of when it's gonna get here. So that's where it is.
You got anything else you want to put in?
We brought up the policy that we are going to be introducing at the next week's school board meeting on the bullying and cyberbullying. Explain to them kind of that the policy meeting, marathon policy meeting that we had, special call meeting, is a starting point. And that, Tommy brought up a seminar that we're going to have on that, and that it's kind of an all hands on deck. We're doing things on the board side, they're doing things on the administrative side. The administrators are doing stuff, the principals in the high school, so that we're all working together to, we're never gonna stop it, but, to kind of, maybe cause it not to happen as much, and when it does happen, have a little bit more defined way of dealing with it. Tommy brought up the false information that got out on Jefferson Elementary, and I'll let you go, since you mentioned that being a lecture. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, definitely, we met with teachers. We didn't see it as necessary to send anything out to parents. It's normal for end of the year for stuff to get moved. As you come in this building right now, you see all this stuff in the hallway. The classrooms are empty, stuff put in the hallway. They'll strip and wax, do stuff in the classrooms, and then move it back. So that's common practice. We got rid of a piece of cabinetry furniture that's set in the room. They picked it up, it's not attached to anything. We got rid of some lockers that were in the room that's sitting on the floor. It's screwed to the wall so that whenever you open it up or pull on it, it doesn't fall over. So, remove 6 screws. We talked through teachers and met with them on election day before we started, went through the process, and got everything out in the open. But some of them took it upon themselves to share some information about mold and environmental issues within the building that was unfounded. And it was actually after the fact of the room had already been done. So we took care of that issue on our side and talked with the personnel and hopefully be able to solve that problem going forward.
But all in all, I prefer a joint meeting. Sometimes a joint meeting go in and out. It was a pretty information-filled meeting, you know. It was a good meeting. A lot of good participation.
Bill Blankenship said he explained about everything going on with Jefferson Elementary. I think that's pretty helpful to folks that we learn here. And of course, Tommy talking about addressing the Facebook issues, business and stuff getting out. And I guess we need to thank our new communications director over there for getting stuff out too on that. It was a very good meeting. When's the next one? It was
September 14th.
September 14th.
On the joint one, I had
Yes.
September 17th.
17th.
Yeah, you're right,
6:30.
17th, yes.
Yeah. I reckon they'll be here when something goes on.
I've gotta, we'll figure it out,
Yeah.
yeah.
Building maintenance committee, you got anything to add there, Paul?
No, just our next meeting will be September 15th at 5:30 at White Pine. I think once we get White Pine, we get just about every elementary school for sure, as far as meeting at. I believe Austin Bridgewater's, they've hit White Pine first from what I understand, as far as just addressing a list, close to 70 items
70, yeah, right.
that they're going to try to just punch out, take care of all that, and then move on to the next school. And
But they won't tell us which one.
they won't tell us which one, so,
It'd be a little while.
cross your fingers, but, if you want to do yours. You know, he does like cookies if you want to try to bribe him to go to your school.
That's good to know.
So, but no, I'm looking forward to doing it in that process. I think, you know, hitting a school like that at each time, just knocking it out. And, you know, there'll always be stuff coming back up, but I think it'd be a good way and a good place to start over.
All right. That next meeting for them is again September 15th, 5:30 at White Pine. All right, now we're down to director's input on business session agenda. You got anything there?
Yeah, not necessarily, a little bit, but the first thing I want to say is, we talked a lot on the joint committee meeting about capital projects and those type things. And Paige and I spoke today, and we're looking at adding to our webpage a kind of a capital projects update. So sometime tomorrow, you'll see that pop up. The first one we're looking at is Talbot, just to give an update. So it's something similar to what I send the board, that's got the contractor's information of where we're at currently, what's happening, where it's going to be at over the next few weeks, and then some pictures sharing some of that information just to post. We're going to hit Talbot. Remember, we're building this, so we'll probably look at Talbot, Jeff Elementary, the ag building, the HVAC project, then we'll go from there. You know, that type of project, see where we're at. But we know we've got material for the next 2.5 years for Jeff Elementary put in there, and keep people up to date. So, you know, if you're in White Pine or Brush Strong and you don't go that direction much, you can look on there and see what's happening. And then, of course, we've already went over the MOU. That's the item that'll be probably under old business. How does it? And then, I don't think we have anything under new business, do we, right now? We'll have a couple of field trips that need consideration, and then we'll go from there. But I do want to, if you give me just 1 second to, Joey Allen's here with us. So, Joey has been with the school system for many years, and then she left, went to finance, and is basically our bookkeeper for the finance department. That's kind of how I would describe it. But how many years with the school system? 22 with the school system, and finished up with the finance department, and is retiring at the end of June. And she's been, I can't even, just the information, institutional information that you're able to call and talk about. Hey, in 2015, we had this. Where did that go? What happened? She has that information. So, and then we're going to miss that, but we've got she's training, so they're working over there. So there'll be some transitions, but we just want to recognize Joy, appreciate all she's done for us over the years. Yeah, that's for sure. That's all I have.
I do appreciate that, and I know you'll be wondering about all that money and stuff. All right, let's see. Yeah.
How are we looking at the ag building as far as it's still on schedule?
Yeah, they plan to finish within the next 6 weeks.
Okay.
And right now, you don't see a lot of progress because they've been inside electrical, some structural stuff with hurricane hangers. They'll be putting in some insulation inside, putting in some gray metal. All the interior of the enclosed area gets covered inside with gray metal. So, but it's progressing along. I'd say next 6 weeks.
I think it looks good from the outside.
Yeah, I don't know about paving schedule. Kind of gets paved in the front, down the side, and a little bit in the back. So you can back, vehicles, bring vehicles in there, back trailers in there, whatever you need to do. So.
Anything else? Okay, school commissioner items for discussion. Oh,
I have a couple things. First of all, back when I first joined the school board back in first year I was on, I requested that we get the monthly district enrollment report on a monthly basis. I'm beginning to think that I don't, unless I don't look at it every month. I'm wondering if we kind of in the interest of the piece of paperwork that maybe we get that quarterly rather than monthly. It only goes up 2 or 3 students per school per month. And I think we get in the beginning, the middle, and the end. That would satisfy me. I don't know how the rest of you feel, and I don't think we have to vote on it. I think I just requested it and we started getting it. So I don't know how you folks feel about it. If you want to be getting a monthly or a quarterly would suffice. Would there be any objection to getting a monthly? Quarterly? What's that?
No, the financial.
The attendance, monthly
attendance.
attendance. Monthly attendance that compares 1 year to the next.
Oh, it's,
Yeah.
So is there any problem with that?
It looks headache for her.
Yeah, well, that's what, exactly. Why, if we're not, if it's of no great use to us, why are we having to do that? So,
I'd be fine with doing quarterly.
yeah, quarterly.
We could get that kind of a beginning, middle, and end.
Yeah.
Because then I think you see more of the trends, rather than one year, what's here, one that had it here.
If there's any concern, we can always just ask.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Something major happened.
I'm fine with that.
So we just,
Yeah, we take-
Is this the ending one?
Yes.
So what, we just wait
Get one in August
and then.
for a September meeting.
Yeah, and then maybe February, and then maybe whenever, whatever we get.
We'll get it.
Also, I got a call from Sharon at the Jefferson County Fair, just before I came in here. fair is gonna be the 8th to the 12th, and as
What was
promised,
that date?
the 8th through the 12th of July is a fair. And they will have a school staff night where the school staff will get a substantial discount. It's either Wednesday or Thursday of that week. She says just go to the website, it's on there. I didn't have a chance before I came in here, so we might want to check that and get word out to the school staff that one, and I believe Mr. Hardy was the one who requested something of that nature, and she called me and said that they're finalizing the schedule. Just passing that on. That's all.
When we got this, is there a reason why lunchtime is so high?
Yeah, one thing that you're looking at, I don't know, but whenever you have an incident, so let's say you have a school and you have 3 situations that involved, 2 people, then that is, Carrie in here, help me talk through this.
I didn't hear, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
Come up here. So, each time, so let's say that we had a football team or a basketball team, and there was a bullying reported on the team, and there was 9 people involved. Then that's 9 separate reporting investigations of bullying. Is how that's documented across this area. Do you happen to know? I mean, we could do some research. Do you happen to know if there was a large group of people that I don't know?
I know that there has been multiple people involved in multiple incidents.
Specifically at just the one school and not the others?
I think, I can't say that for sure, but I know at the one school, there have been multiple people involved with multiple incidents.
So,
Also, I would also argue that I've really been hitting hard like you must investigate, you must show that you investigate, you have to turn these in. I would like to think that the school's doing really good at doing that, responding to any kind of reports, and not brushing things off. So when I look at that number, it makes me encouraged that at least they're looking into things. Where I would be concerned is if they also have a higher number of it is true bullying compared to the other schools. And that's something that I'll go through over the summer and look at as well.
So could it be a possibility that the other schools that are lower may not be doing their investigations?
I can't say that, but this is the first year that we've had a report like this. That's what I'll say.
Think of it as that.
Yeah, absolutely.
and you know, one thing with a lot of your low schools, Dandridge Elementary, Jefferson Elementary, Piedmont Elementary, Talbot Elementary, I missed one. Mount Horeb did have a high number. That was an outlier too, I thought, where most of your elementary schools do not have as high a number as your middle schools compared, with the exception of Mount Horeb did have a high number. But you expect that with your middle schools especially, you're gonna see an increase in that age group a lot, especially with social media stuff and you know, whatever they do, Snap or messaging or whatever. Also, that bleeds into school.
That brings in, are we pretty certain that our cell phone ban, our 9 to 3 cell phone ban being enforced pretty strictly at the school?
Yes, I did talk to, you and I had a conversation once. I did follow up with principals. You can hear it too at the high school, in the cafeteria. It's much, 2 years ago, it was silent in that cafeteria. Because they on the phone or on something, but it's much louder. That's a good thing. Kids are talking, interacting. But we have had some bus drivers. I think we've got that message across that cell phones are not banned on buses. It's 8 to 3 during the school day. But too, we don't allow, whenever kids come in, if it's 7:45 and, we don't allow them. Once that teacher picks them up, they're away. They have to be turned off, so. We feel pretty comfortable, principals feel pretty comfortable that it is being followed. Now, there are circumstances that happen. We've had some principals, teachers, sometimes we allow kids to turn them on, access them whenever they need to get a number or call a parent for an issue that may come up. Sickness, and we don't have an active number or something like that, so they're like, am I gonna get in trouble? We're like, not in that circumstance. We're trying to get in touch with people. So I believe they are being very thorough with it, even, outside of phones. I definitely don't see the earbuds in at middle and high school. They may come into school with them in the morning, but they're up and you don't see them again till the end of the day. So I feel comfortable with it.
You feel the same, you have the same confidence with the middle school?
Yes. Yes, definitely. The transitions are much more limited at the middle school than at the high school. It's a quicker transition. You don't see kids, we don't allow hoods or hats or any of that nature. So being able to hide it's not easy. But I'm not telling you that a kid doesn't go to the bathroom and access their cell phone or something of that nature. But as far as in the lunchroom, in the classroom, in the cafeterias, changing classes, it doesn't happen. Now, you take a 15-year-old kid, they can sit here and be texting somebody, talking to you. You never know it, but I could barely text somebody sitting here looking at it. Kids are very, very good.
You don't have the phone dexterity.
But for the most part, no. Never be 100%, but teachers are vigilant with it.
Yeah, their muscle memory on those
Oh, it's amazing.
touchpads are pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all.
Anyone else? I will say, I just looked it up. Opening night for the fair, July 7th. Wednesday night, July 8th, Jefferson County School personnel and team night from 5 to 7 p.m. So that's on their webpage there. Get that out and everybody can enjoy that. Looks like they're gonna have a goat show and a truck and tractor pull and somebody pig racing.
Pig racing.
Pig races.
I'll be
Chases
there for
pig
that.
race. Might be somebody wants to go. Anyone else?
I've got a couple.
Yeah.
I have a couple things. So I want to try to understand this too, so I'm gonna have to ask why I'm not wrong here. Part-time employees, like maybe an aide or an assistant, teacher assistant, they don't get full-time hours. They don't get any kind of bereavement, correct?
I couldn't understand what he asked.
Part-time employees, do they get bereavement?
No, not according to school board policy, no.
How many sick days do they get?
Depending on if they're an assistant, they get 9 a year.
Personal days?
For part-time, not in the policy.
Okay. If there's a family member that passes away, can they use their sick day for bereavement?
Yeah, they've been allowed to, yes.
So they won't get in trouble with that.
not for death, sickness, medical appointments. Basically, anything, go to court, just not, Carnival Cruise Lines, Daytona Beach, so you can't use your sick days for, vacation time.
What about other part-time employees, people who don't get full-time hours for benefits? Do they get, I know like restaurants, cafeteria workers, I think there's one or two ladies that might be part-time there, or I don't know, maybe our custodian, we might have, because I don't know all the employees that are part-time. Does it apply to all of them?
Bus driver, it applies to all part-time.
All
employees
part-time.
Would fall
Yes.
under the same category. Bus drivers, cafeteria workers, a few instructional assistants, a few. We've those have been hard to fill unless we come across, there's very few, but there's a couple part-time custodial positions, but we've tried to make them all full-time, they're just easier to fill. But if somebody wants a part-time, then we have a couple of those for them.
They get 9, did you say 9?
Part-time
Sick days.
employees.
Well, it depends on, so for the assistants, cafeteria, 9 days, at however many hours they work a day.
Okay.
So if they're a 5-hour-a-day employee, they get 9 5-hour leave days that are sick days.
And it's paid.
Yes.
Do they have to notify that it's a difference between, hey, I'm sick, or had a death in the family, or like how do you?
I don't know how they notify their principal, but I would say if they say it's a death in the family, they probably would tell them that's the reason. So they're allowed to use it for that.
And they don't have to have a doctor's excuse.
It depends. Doctor's excuse is if it goes 5 days or more, or if there's reason to suspect like somebody's chronically out, so they could ask for doctor's notes. But typically on a day-to-day basis, they don't ask for doctor's notes.
What about an employee, whether it be full-time, part-time, that has sick days and they use it to, I don't know, they go up to the Iams Nature Center for the day, or, they're not sick, there's no bereavement. Like what happens with employees like that?
If we know about it, we'll ask them to change their date and use a personal day, or a leave without pay. So if you sacrifice the instruction of our students to go on a vacation or a trip with your family, we're gonna charge you. We're not gonna allow it.
Even if they're not a teacher?
Right, no matter who it is, you cannot use a sick day for anything that's not allowable under that sick leave policy. Any employee. So, I'm not gonna tell you, somebody had done it, of course they have, but
Sure.
not, if we know about it, then we enforce it, because we don't have subs for, many of our employees. There's nobody to cook whenever Janice is not there to cook. There's nobody to drive a bus whenever Ronnie's not there to drive a bus. So, we don't have a lot of subs. And many of those employees work 5 hours a day, and they're only working 170, 183 days, or,
You talking about assistants,
yeah,
188?
188 days. So they may come in at 8 and leave at 1, or, come in at 9 and leave at 2. So, still time for doctor's appointments, banking, those type of things.
Can they use a sick leave day for like a dentist appointment or something like that?
Eye doctor, dentist appointment, court, we're
So
pretty
they don't have to
flexible.
technically be sick, that's kind of, they can kind of use it as a personal day more or less.
Yeah,
Sort of.
I would say it differs from the personal day in that a personal day can be used for anything. but a sick day falls under certain guidelines that have to be followed, and, so,
Okay.
but it's not just their medical. It could be their husbands, their child's, their parent, you know, take a parent to grandparent, I mean,
So that they have a personal day, say 9 sick days, and they don't have to use that personal day first, right? They can say, hey, look, my child, I've got to take them to the doctor, they're sick, I'm gonna use one of my sick days, and save their personal day?
yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to,
Yeah.
so many different types of statuses for the employee, I'm just trying to understand. And I spoke with Dr. Arnold about Life Touch. My personal feelings is with Life Touch, I think they've already signed contracts for next year.
Yes.
My personal feeling, I think he's gonna reach out to Mr. Bennett about it. I still am not comfortable with Life Touch. I think
Life
there's
Touch is a
the
photography.
photography. I know there's still two, I think 2 of our schools. Still not comfortable with that. What I've looked into, a lot of employees are still working at the corporate level. I think there's other photography studios that we could use, other schools use different ones. I'd like to see what Mr. Bennett has to say. I know that he reached out one time when it first came up, but I think it would be valuable to the school board to consider just cutting our ties with them based on what Mr. Bennett says. So I just kind of want to put that out there. I think that would be just, the safety of the children. Nothing may ever happen, but I don't want anything in the future to be a possibility. So that's something I think that we should look into and see what the.
And Rhonda has that email, she'll send it to you tomorrow. It came
Okay.
late in the day, so she'll send Bennett's response on Live Touch.
Okay.
I've not even, I couldn't,
Well, I value his
I've
opinion.
not even,
I value his opinion too,
Yeah.
so, but,
well, anytime you're under contract, there is an obligation.
yeah.
And we'll look at that. I had a conversation with him. I've not read his email, but I've had a conversation. I think you have to weigh the schools, you know, for instance, if we're gonna lose lots of money, and we could look at spring picture sales and be able to determine some of that too. You know, you have to have a reason to breach that contract. And it's kind of like, he described it as, you know, asking a student to remove a shirt. It has to have the ability to cause a disruption or a disturbance. Just because, you know, someone came in with something on their shirt, a Bible verse or a person's name or whatever it may be, that you have to have reason that's going to cause a major disruption. So he said to breach that contract, you kind of have to have a reason that to be able to show it's going to cause a major disruption to the school system. He said, you know, you have 50 people that complain. Okay, there's 55,000 in the county. There's 7,000 students. There's, you know, 15,000 parents or whatever. 50 is not a big number. So it has to be able to cause a substantial disruption. But he'll send us something and we'll look at it.
Are those done yearly, those contracts?
Those are, yes, and we have had a conversation about that. There was nothing I could do, and I think that came out in February-ish,
Yeah.
somewhere around there. You know, we've already snapped spring pictures at one of those schools, and the following week, snapping pictures at another school whenever it came out. But contracts were already signed in the fall for the next fall, but we've had a conversation about this fall and not signing contracts.
Okay. So the contract will run out after the fall pictures and then have to sign again?
So they'll take fall and spring pictures this year unless we do something. But we've asked them not to sign a contract until they speak with us, and that's 2 schools, so they understand that.
The only other thing I want to bring up is, I've been trying to understand the process of books that are read during ELA. We have multiple books that are read, right, during ELA by the students. And I know that it comes down a list from the state, hundreds of books that are approved. And correct me if I'm wrong when I say this, but from what I understand, it's the ELA curriculum was adopted the original one was 4 or 5 years ago, something like that.
Johnston was here, I don't remember the exact time, do you, Michelle? 2020, 2021?
Okay. So,
Wait, Christie's around, did we, that was the year we
Maybe
adopted
we
in
implemented that year.
2021?
And implemented 2020.
okay, so we're in our 6 years, that's why we adopted for 2 more years. But with that adoption came that list of books.
So, the state had a list, it's in a repository, is that what they call it? So yes, there is a list of books, like you said, it's hundreds in there.
And it's all, per grade?
Well, it's not really like that. The repository is the list of curriculum. Again, Christie can help me. The repository is a list of curriculum that has been approved, and you can see all the books within the curriculum, I guess, at that point.
There's a link where you can log in to the different curriculums and, kind of, mostly you see like teacher editions, basically, like what our teachers see when they teach it. So that's where you might be able to see a list of books, like, you know, you may have, like our elementary curriculum has 10 units, so you would have a list of each unit is based around some kind of like theme. So, you know, you might be learning about inventors, and then in unit 6, and so then you're gonna have a huge teacher's edition with a list of books that are all about inventors. And, you know, so then multiply that 10 units by each grade level, and you can see the list, like by unit, by grade level, that the kids read.
Well, I'm just trying to figure out, I know everybody has their own objective opinion of what's grade level appropriateness. Like I spoke with Dr. Arnold about it, but what might be okay with me might not be okay with Mr. Evans, or vice versa. And then what's grade level? The other problem that we have is, the state has decided that, sped students get to be inclusive with things within the school system. And, I had a book that was brought up in 12th grade that my son had to read. He's probably on the reading side, he's probably about a 6th, 7th grade level. Mental capacity probably 6th, 7th level maturity-wise. But he's reading a book that's probably, I don't even know if it's appropriate to be read for the 12th grade. So I'm trying to figure out why, there's a committee, from what I understand, made up of certain people. Who decides? Is it teachers per class? Is it a committee that says, here's what we're gonna read in 12th grade this year, here's what you're gonna read in 11th grade? Who makes that decision?
ultimately it was the board that made that decision. So the proposal from the committee was brought to the board, and I'll share that middle school with you. I have it now, but it was brought to the board that talks about Unit 1, Unit 2, Unit 3, what books gonna be read, and the board approved that with the curriculum from the committee.
That was back in 2020, 2021, whenever it was first
Yeah,
brought
so
up.
that's the approved books that go with our units and our curriculum. That was approved by the board.
Does anybody review these books? Like actually read them? Do you know?
Michelle and Christy, the teachers, they read them. They read them.
So the year before we do a local adoption, the state does a process, and they have, they do, the committees kind of like we do. So they have parents, they have teachers, they choose people from across Tennessee. And then they develop like rubrics to make sure they match our state standards. But then they also look at appropriateness. And so that committee weeds through everything that's submitted. So all the vendors, of course, want you to buy their stuff. So then they'll develop, the year before we look at it, the list of, this makes the cut for Tennessee. They'll do a bid process to get like the pricing all set out too. So we'll get like state level pricing. And then we pick it up as a local adoption, and like what Tommy was saying. So when we did ELA, we chose a teacher per school, per grade level that teaches ELA. So it's a really big committee when you do like ELA or math. So, 8 schools that have an elementary, and then that would be 1 kindergarten, 1 first, second, third, fourth, and 5th grade teacher. And they get like the samples, not every single teacher edition, so you can see what the list is, and you can see the questions, and you can see the strategies, and you can reference online to like look at the actual books, but learning to read, you need a lot of material, so there are a ton of like little readers in the lower grades that come with those books as well. So then we review that. We have some committee meetings where we talk about it. Vendors come and make presentations so we can ask questions then about how things work and what do the tests look like and what kind of data do we get and those kinds of things. And then the committee, after the months of the process, then they make the recommendation and we sign off on it and then present it to the board. And then, like Tommy says, from that point, the board usually, accepts the teacher recommendation. I think in the past we've pretty much always accepted what the teacher committee has studied and recommended.
Do we have any stakeholders involved in that decision making?
Yeah, we're required to have some community/parents, and so since I've been overseeing it, and you before me, we seek out, and typically Sherry Fincham, who did this before me, would have like PTO presidents, like get some parents that we already kind of know and are familiar in our schools to serve on the committee, so that they can help with the decisions as well.
Do we rotate these parents on a regular basis, or are they pretty much the same ones who, from prior years, who serve on the?
The science adoption, for example, we did.
Yeah. So
For the science adoption, we sent out to the schools and asked for volunteers to serve.
we did.
And then we got everything from professors of science, chemists, all kinds of stuff. It was a good group.
Yeah. I think we did more advertising because it seems to be, we've kind of grown into that to see that let's make this opportunity available for anybody that really wants to be involved and wants to see what's going on and be transparent. So, over the past several years, we have been trying to be more like, put that out there as an opportunity for anybody that's interested.
So this is the book that my son had to read, The Glass Castle. And I don't know how many people have actually read this. Does the committee actually read through the book at all?
I would say that there are too many for for us to read every single title. I don't know that we've read through them all. But, you know, teachers, before they teach them, you know, that's what we've asked them to do. But the very first year when you start a curriculum, you do learn a lot about what's in there.
Well, like this book right here talks about rape, incest, verbal and physical abuse. Like I personally, this book disgusts me.
I can't really speak to it except to also say that some of our texts are like excerpts. I mean, I don't know if they read the entire book. I don't know if they, you know, what they pull out of it or what value they feel like they get from it. But there are books that we don't read the whole thing. We just read excerpts, and so I don't know if that's one or not.
Well, I hear a little grumble in here. Maybe I'll read a couple excerpts and find if this is appropriate for anybody in our school. There's no kids in here, is there? This one here is where Dad was running Mom down in the car with the kids in it. And he stuck out his head out of the window as he drove, hollering at Mom, calling her a stupid whore and a stinking cunt, and ordering her to get back in the car. Like, that's what my kid had to read. The 12th graders read. There's another one here. Dad didn't like Mom's paintings, so she needed to get a job, basically, right? Started throwing out Mom's oil paintings come flying through an upstairs window. Next came her easel. Crowd below scurried back to avoid getting hit. Then Mom's feet appeared in the window, followed by the rest of her body. She was dangling from the second floor, her legs swinging wildly. Dad was holding her by her arms while she tried to hit him in the face. He was hanging her out the window. And these are just, this is stuff in these books my child had. Kids planned to kill other kids who were bullying them, and went into detail about what they were going to do. I'll be honest with you, when I heard that they were going to read this book, I could see the title, The Glass Castle. It sounds pretty to me, like, what could be wrong with it? My child was kind of behind because of he was being so sick, so we put the audio on. My jaw hit the ground as the guy was reading this book. I just read 2 or 3 little excerpts out of this. This whole book is filled with this stuff. It goes into very explicit raping of the girl, her trauma of her life, and then we wonder why we have our kids needing mental health. In 2019, we brought mental health in to reduce the bullying and incident. Our numbers doubled. 2020-21, this book gets put into our schools to be read, and numbers double. I think there needs to be some kind of oversight where people are held accountable of what books our kids are being told to read. I know there's a process. I spoke with Dr. Arnold about this, and I hope that every parent looks at the books if they're not comfortable with them and requests a different book. They have every right to do that, right? That's the process. They
Also,
just
4.801 controversial issues does allow parents the opportunity to, it's not just a book, it's controversial issues. So we have all kinds of that happen. Michelle deals with it, Christy deals with it, principals deal with it. That is an option parents have.
for basically an assignment that's like that, they'll be offered a different assignment.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And this was prior to Dr. Arnold, so this was not on his, but I do know that in ninth grade, my son, we requested a different book that he was reading at the time, and then we got refused it. So I'm just gonna urge parents, if they are listening, board members, if you hear anybody asking you, please encourage the parents to just simply request, I guess through the teacher.
That's where it would begin.
Okay. And then if
But
they refuse, then they.
Teacher, principal, central office, we all work together to solve those problems. So we've had them call us, and then we call the school, so.
I think maybe what I'd like to see is maybe a committee of some stakeholders, and I'm open to whether it be 3 stakeholders for elementary, 3 for middle school, 3 for high school, or 1 committee if they feel they can do it, to go over all the books and get their recommendation. I would suggest stakeholders that would be willing to read books. I mean, I really don't want books like that read. That was for a sped class. So that's just my input.
Can I ask, how early in the year do we begin reviewing books for example, I know we're in like what, 8-year cycle for each curriculum?
Yes.
And how early do we start reviewing books for the next cycle?
The state starts about a year in advance. On the state side, they would start in July or so. Then the districts would get them about December or January. Begin getting them in that time frame, and then you start looking at decision making about 5 months later.
Next adoption is social studies next year.
I agree with Paul on setting up a committee or something like that, and do a complete look of everything, because that was disgusting. And, the violence against women, rape and something like that, makes me wonder how many other books have that. Because domestic violence against women is a very big thing in this country. So, whatever we can do to get stuff like that out of our schools would be good.
I'd also like, this isn't a book I just picked up, it's something my son had to read. And credit to the teacher, she skipped chapter 6. You can only imagine what was in that. None of that was in chapter 6. Did a little research. One study said 2 out of 5. The other one said 3 out of 5. So one's 40%, one's 60%. So if you want to split the middle and say 50%, I'd even say, if you want to say 25% of girls under the age of 18 deal or have dealt with sexual abuse of some sort. And then these are made to go into a classroom, read books like this, maybe not even as bad as this, just some type of abuse like this, and have to relive this trauma. And then we wonder, like I said before, why we need have a need for mental health therapists. And I just, are we promoting this, not purposely maybe, but are we promoting this need? And I have a problem with stuff like this, I think that our number one goal above education should be the safety of the children and what's best for them. And then the education. So if they're not in a safe environment, if they're not reading things that are safe, if they don't feel that they're safe, they're not going to learn. But I think it starts with us as a board. I wasn't on the board back in 2021. I don't know who all was. But I know I didn't thought that curriculum. I didn't have the opportunity to go through that. And I would also I'd like to tell you that I've already started looking into social studies, and they're trying to incorporate and weave the ELA, which we're talking about now, into the social studies, which is gonna be adopted this next school year. So, I would really, really urge the board to really be, do the due diligence in looking over the curriculum as it's presented to us. Moving forward. That's all I have for that. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry for the language.
All right. I will point out something, this is something I sort of learned the past couple of years too. Books can be pulled from libraries, but they cannot, but just because they're pulled from the library don't mean they're pulled from a curriculum. So you might not be able to check out The Glass Castle here, but it can still be in the curriculum. That's an odd thing. I mean, that whole thing with Knox County with Roots, it was banned from the libraries in Knox County schools. You couldn't go check it out as a student, but if it was part of the curriculum, you could, it's an odd, people think just because it's banned means it's the whole thing.
Is that a district decision or a state decision?
To ban a book is a board decision, so, Roots got pulled and now it's back in.
Back in.
Back in today, so, it's a very controversial, just as that happened, then you get a influx of people that were, against banning books. So we have a multitude of people out there that feel, and we are a public school. I always say just go to Walmart and stand there on a Saturday and that's your public. And you can ask them, there's people that feel that we should never ban a book, no matter what, and there's people that feel like, most books should be banned. There's people that would go through here and, maybe leave half of these books, maybe. So it is a different, and, sometimes controversial issues discussed in a school setting to shed light on a bad situation and how things should be carried out and happen. Nobody would disagree that abuse against children, abuse against women is something that we should condone or anything. Sometimes that has to be told to kids. Sometimes they don't hear it at home. Sometimes they grow up seeing bad things happen and they need someone to tell them that's not acceptable.
And in the library, if I'm not mistaken, the librarians, don't they use some app too that they don't have to sit there and read every book? They can punch in the titles and it kind of just makes it a lot faster for them to be able to.
Whenever they
go
order
through them.
books, whenever they order books, and of course they have, that's their job, so they keep up on books that are very controversial authors, and, shy away from those to bring into the library.
But our librarians network with each other about stuff like that too, from what I
They
understand.
do.
Okay. Nothing else? Yes.
Down on items for information.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I had to put on the agenda. We had a tournament, I think, 3 or 4 weeks ago?
Yes, sir.
And the bathrooms, unacceptable.
Now, where is this?
This is at the high school.
At high school.
At the baseball field.
Tommy can kind of relate more than I can on this, but the renovation on the bathrooms, I think, needs to be done. Also, home plate is bad, so I'm gonna let Tommy kind of lead.
Yeah, so, I think Danny talked to to somebody that, you know, he's dealt with a lot. We probably had, 1,000 people.
We had a crowd.
Well, I don't know, 700 minimum, people there, and there was a men's toilet and a women's toilet. At one time, it was clogged, and we had no toilet. So, you know, it was a little bit of an embarrassing moment. So it's embarrassing for me, and they're plunging. But you know, I definitely think that we did a renovation at softball, got that up and going. I think there definitely needs to be something done there. Just you know, we're not talking about the Taj Mahal, but you know, a building where people can go in there and use it. Something that's more accessible to the public would be good. And then of course there's varsity, there's JV, there's middle school varsity, middle school JV, there's multiple games a night. It's just taking a beat on there. You know, I think Danny's looking at capital projects
That's
and
what
something to do with it.
No, is the, are you talking about the ones underneath this, where is this at?
Baseball field,
Do they have their own facility?
yeah, its own facility up there.
Softball field has theirs, which it got renovated.
Yeah.
And it turned out nice.
Yeah.
But the baseball field is pretty bad.
Is it just one toilet in each one right now?
Yeah.
I mean, do we need maybe multiple toilets in
Right,
each one?
yeah. Yeah, we would need,
Urinal things?
yeah, we would need, I mean, you know, not something the size of here, but
Like a new building?
yeah, it would need a new building, some of the plumbing, we had water issues, had to dig up the parking lot down there. Had to bring in, yes. I don't know when that was built, I would say it's original, so it's 50 years old. It definitely needs updated. Yes,
Who would give us an update as to what we need? Principal or you, or?
We've talked a little bit, just whenever the event was going on, we had a conversation, so we're looking at Austin Bridgewater suggested like a women's restroom with four toilets, handicap accessible, and then a men's restroom with 2 urinals and 2 toilets. And a little, you know, we had to call, in a little closet for some supplies. We had to call down to high school and get the custodian out of the pod to bring supplies up there, just because they went through them during that event.
Would you think of putting a building in place of this building, next to it?
Yeah, at its current location, so,
Do they use this during the fall? I mean, is this something?
it's a spring sport, end of February start date for games, middle of February start date, so, you know.
Could we put like, no, if we, I know the bid process, the building process and everything else is kind of lengthy, could we bring some porta potties up there in the meantime while we're doing that?
We could.
So,
Well, I was gonna say, how could we streamline this to get this going? At the same time, we wanna have, you know, I don't wanna be suddenly starting working on it, meanwhile it's the first day of baseball.
Yeah, yeah. We look at it, I mean, we need to fit this into whenever we submit capital projects to the board. You know, you're talking about, it's on a sewer system, so just being able to go up there, find somebody, bid it out, you know, if it's over $50,000, we have to bid it and just bid it out. I'm sure that we could probably take down what's there, get them a slab and then be able to go from there. But I would imagine, you know, somebody that got on could build that in 6 weeks, start to finish.
Is this something we need to move with a motion?
Not today, but something that we would definitely need to look at whenever we bring capital projects in front of the board.
When would that be? September?
does this need to be put on the agenda for?
Yeah, I think on the agenda for,
meeting.
next meeting, we'll put it on there and get an approval to add the capital projects list.
Now, I will not be at the next meeting, I'll be out of state. But I would like that to be on the agenda, and I hope that you all will carry it through with me not being there.
So you're talking about the agenda next week,
Yes,
not the one after next week, not the one in August.
but I'm
Right.
talking about you.
Right, okay.
Yeah, you're looking at about $15,000 for home plate and about probably 45, 50,000 for a restroom facility, probably somewhere.
And, the only other thing I've got is, I know, next Thursday will probably be you all's last meeting.
We got a special call at the end of June.
Yeah.
For the budget.
Short one.
Well, just in case I don't see you, I want to thank both of you all for what you all have done. I've learned a lot from you, whether it's contrary or not.
We spent $75,000 on a net up there, didn't we? The baseball field,
Oh, for that back net, yeah, it was
we could spend
$100,000
$75,000 and be all
and
right on
something,
that.
yeah.
That's all I've got.
I ain't got any more phone calls, so we put that net on.
We didn't even live there, did we?
Thank you for bringing that up. I saw it and I totally forgot about it. All right, so that'll be on the agenda for the next one. Any last